So as we get close to the end of this project, I want to jump in and kind of explain why this is so difficult. It's not just that the stump covers 360 square feet, it's that the ground slopes like this, the stump sits like this, and has tiers to it. The machine is crossing that ground, and the foot that holds the grinder is on uneven ground. So in an ideal scenario, you're passing like this, back and forth until you're across it. But it's much more difficult than that, and it scallops all the time. Hey, it's Brock here from Rock Hill Farms, and today I'm going to remove this enormous stump with my little compact tractor. I've taken out a lot of big stumps, 6 foot, 8 foot diameter tree stumps, but nothing on this scale. This was 3 different trees that were 30, 40 inches wide, grown together. If I'm guessing, I would say the grind area is 14 feet wide. So first thing I want to do is get a measurement, see how big this thing actually is. Then I think we're going to change some teeth on the grinder, and I'll probably use a chainsaw to cut the top off of this, which will be its own challenge. So should be a lot of fun and a good experiment for what can you really do with one of these 3-point stump grinders on such a small machine. So let's get started. If you measure the stump, 2 feet up in the air, which is how high we are over here, it's 64 inches at the widest point, so a little over 5 feet, which is pretty good, but that's width, and this thing is so long, and no stump grinding guy talks about how wide it is at the top of the stump. That's 64 inches this way. It's another foot on each side to take out the root flares, so it's not 5 foot wide, it's 7 foot wide. Now let's see how long it is, including the root flare. So we're 106 inches at the top of the stump on the length, so almost 9 feet. Now let's see how much root flare we have on each side. We've got 6 feet of exposed root on this side. That takes us to 15. And 3 feet of exposed root on the other side. So to a stump grinding guy, if I call them for a price, they're gonna rate this as an 18-foot stump. It's longer than the tractor if you don't count that long stump grinder. So, first thing I wanna do is get the top cut off this. So, I'm gonna grab the saw and get started. I've cut a lot of big stumps like this down low to reduce the amount of grinding time and the amount of wear on the teeth on the grinder. And so I've got a pretty good routine for that, but this is so irregular shaped and it's on a hill. So the lowest I can cut it here is this, and here I could go so much lower. I'm gonna see maybe if I can stair step it. I think I'm gonna cut down through here and then come in from the side, which is totally different than what I normally do, but we'll see how it goes. That chain wasn't completely sharp when I started, and I thought, well, it'll just make these couple cuts. And I also didn't want to put a new chain on it because I thought I'd probably hit it in the dirt. And looks like I did, because it's not cutting at all now. I've got this one here that I sharpened the other day. Actually looks really sharp. Should do a lot better job. I said I was going to grind these outrunners, but those would take forever because you can only grind a little spot at a time. You get a lot of width. You can't move back and forward like with the fixed kind. So I'm going to pull up at a 90 degree to it and hit it with my swing. I've tested out a lot of different tractor mount stump grinders, and I've probably removed at least 50 stumps with this grinder, and this monster stump still taught me a few things. Part of it being the fact it was on a hillside, and part of it being that it was a regular cut on the top of the stump, and finally just the sheer size of it. So it was quite an adventure. So I have already done a lot of grinding, And I'm not even to the stump yet. The stump, where I really measured the stump, starts here. I've got to keep going back another 8 inches just to hit the stump. So that's why I was talking about factoring in the whole grind area if you're going to price a job like this. But the other thing I wanted to point out that sucks about a grinder like this is the head is in a fixed position. It doesn't pivot like this. So even though it goes up and down, it doesn't tilt. And the way this guard is shaped, my guard is hitting the stump before I'm down to the depth I need, which means I've got to work the top off of the stump before I can even, I'm not below grade here. And that's made worse by the fact we're on a hill. If this was flat ground, I wouldn't be having near as many problems. But just the shape of this guard makes it hard to get the depth I need. So I'm gonna have to come up here and knock the top off of this, then back up so I can take this down. You do, with this kind of grinder, you do have a great view of the grinding head to really see what you're doing. This one's a weird one for me. The part of the stump that's still there is almost waist high from where I'm standing. So I'm building a driveway right at the edge of this stump. I'm gonna have a rock drive and I'm gonna build all this up. I really don't have to get it as far below grade as I normally would, but just because of what I'm gonna do here, I can bury what's left, but I'm gonna take it as far as I can. Now I gotta get this other run out so that my approach can make full swings. For the sake of efficiency, I think I need to come around now and start on the other side and grind this direction, because just how tall that is from here, it's hard to get up on top of that and work my way down like this. I think it'll be easier coming the other way. I don't know what it looks like on camera, but I'm actually 6 inches below grade on this, the first 2 feet of this. Yeah, I'm at grade here, and then I can step down into it. That is still, I'm several hours in, that is still a lot of stump. But I'm having a heck of a good time, as long as my tractor holds up. She's not the biggest tractor out there, but she's been tough, and she's done everything that I've asked her to do. Wish they could all be like that. Thinking I might try something different. I've brought each side in to where the middle part's now only, 2 or 3 foot wide. That's still raised, but then I've got runouts in every direction, and the parts I've already ground, they kind of scallop like this, so you've got kind of ridges on it. I think now that I've got it this far, I'm gonna go this direction right across the middle of what's left. It should knock out those scallops on my way. But making a lot of progress. There's no other way to say it. That is a big stump, especially to try grinding with that little tractor. But we made a lot of progress. I was hoping to finish this all in one day, but my son's got a ball game, starts in about an hour, and I don't miss those. And there's definitely more than an hour of work left here because I want this covered over completely. And we've still got runners coming off of it out here, and root flares and all kinds of mess to deal with. So looks like a 2-day job. I'm back out here for the second day of working on this stump, and there's a lot left, but not near as much as it looks like. There are places down here where I'm through the stump and into dirt. There are also places where it's really soft and just kind of crumbles apart. Actually, let me even show you that. So we are down to dirt right here, dirt here, and this is soft. It just kind of smashes when you step on it. Broke a big chunk off, and that's because I've already removed over a foot of stump, and this is just rotten down here. So as we get close to the end of this project, I want to jump in and kind of explain why this is so difficult. It's not just that the stump covers 360 square feet, it's that the ground slopes like this, the stump sits like this, and has tiers to it. The machine is crossing that ground, and the foot that holds the grinder is on uneven ground. So in an ideal scenario, you're passing like this, back and forth until you're across it. But it's much more difficult than that, and it scallops all the time. Right there is one little nub that sticks out. You'll always keep finding them. Well, I said I wanted to get all the life I could out of these grinding teeth, and they were dull when I started, some of them. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and change at least a few on the outside, because the ones on the outside take all the damage. The ones on the inside hardly ever touch wood. So I'm gonna start going around the outside and changing some of these out, see how much of a difference it really makes on finishing this off. This thing has 54 teeth on it. About 45 or 50 of them, you can put an impact right here, buzz the nut off. But the ones you have to replace the most are pointing straight down, and you can't get anything but a boxed in wrench on it. Nothing else will fit in that little spot, and the tooth doesn't turn, so you can't turn the tooth and hold the nut. So it is what it is. Those are the hardest ones to change. And now as I try to break that nut loose, the wheel's wanting to turn. I have to stick something through the hole in the wheel and let it bottom out on the frame of the grinder. Changing these bottom facing teeth is definitely a pain. I got a screwdriver here so I can scrape around the nut and make sure I'm getting the wrench all the way down on it so I don't round it off. And I'm gonna hit it with some Rust Patrol. See if we can free it up. Now we're gonna stick this through here to lock the flywheel down, or the wheel. Wow, I think that Rust Patrol helped in a hurry, because I'm not even putting that much pressure on it at this point. So, here's the difference in the teeth. First, that's what the nut looks like, and this square shaft fits into the wheel right here, and the nut goes on the back side and fits in a cutout. Here's the new tooth versus the old tooth. See, it's not like it took off so much material that it's dramatically shorter. It just loses that edge. But my theory on running it all day like this without changing the teeth is that it loses that edge. I wonder if you can see anything there. And I wonder if it loses that edge so quickly that changing them doesn't make that much difference. I mean, it's definitely one's sharp and the other's not, so let's see what happens. I'm gonna change out the first 5, 6 of them and see how it goes. So there's not rings like a ring of teeth on the bottom and then a ring of teeth 2 inches up. There's one pointing straight down, and then the next one and the next one, they angle and they just work their way up the wheel in a spiral. So I'll just go until they look decent. Now, I was just gonna do all of these before I turned the camera back on, but this one is more interesting a little bit. You can see that, the way this angles off. Now this tooth sits at an angle like this, and it's taking more wear than the other one. There's a lot of material missing there. So, just wanted to show you that. All right, there were 5 teeth that pointed down or down and out. I've got those 5 done. Then the first one that's pointing straight out that way, looks like half the side is eating off that one. I'm gonna change it. The next one doesn't look bad. So I'm gonna change 6 total today. And those are the only 6 I've ever changed. Most of the time I just do 3 or 4. So the other 48 teeth on this are still from the factory. And the height on the profile of these teeth looks the same, but the side of it is gone. So you can see it's running on the side a lot when I get in deeper. So it might seem like I still have a lot of stump here, but that pass right there was as deep as this grinder will go. It's bottomed out. And we are below grade on both sides. So the whole thing is underground right now. All right, so the camera is in the same place that I had it at the start of the video. I left that just slightly mounded because that's going to rot and sink. So if you leave it level today, you'll have a dip later. So right now, where the stump was has that sawdust and mud stacked up about 10 or 12 inches on top of it. Then middle of summer, I'm going to put a road right through here that wraps around the Quonset hut. And when I do that, I'll grade around all of this too and get it leveled out. But that was a long, slow process. Probably took 8 hours to actually grind it, but it's gone. And I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos. I'll see you next time.